The Awakening. The vast chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with nervous energy as Supreme Commander Six Star addressed the assembled representatives. His normally stoic demeanor was visibly shaken, tentacles twitching with barely contained anxiety. Esteemed colleagues, Six Star began, his voice resonating through the cavernous space. I come before you today with news that will shake the very foundations of our society. A threat we thought long vanquished has returned. A murmur rippled through the gathered aliens, each species reacting in their own unique way. Some clicked mandibles in agitation, others puffed up colorful air sacs in alarm. Six Star paused, allowing the tension to build before delivering the shocking revelation. Humans have been detected in the outer rim. The chamber exploded into chaos. Shouts of disbelief and fear echoed off the crystalline walls. It took several minutes for order to be restored. Impossible, cried out Laurel, the avian representative from the Cyrene Confederation. We wiped them out centuries ago. Their homeworld was reduced to ash. Six Star nodded grimly. So we believed. But our long-range scanners have picked up unmistakable signs of human activity. Ships of unknown design, utilizing technology beyond our current understanding. As the implications sank in, many in the chamber found their minds drifting back to the dark days of the human war. Though it had been generations since that terrible conflict, the stories were still passed down, a warning of the devastation and technologically inferior but infinitely resourceful species could wreak. Admiral Kira Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, flagship of humanity's resurgent fleet. Through the viewscreen, she watched as a swarm of construction drones swarmed over the half-completed frame of humanity's newest supercarrier. Status report, she barked, turning to her XO. Commander Jake Rodriguez consulted his datapad. Hull integrity at 68%, Admiral. Weapons systems are online, but we're still having issues with the new quantum drive. Engineering estimates another week before we can begin field tests. Kira nodded, a slight frown creasing her brow. They were behind schedule, and she knew the Council of Elders back on New Earth was growing impatient. But after centuries of hiding, of rebuilding in secret, they couldn't afford to rush now. We'll be ready, she said, more to herself than to Rodriguez. We have to be. As if summoned by her thoughts, a priority communication alert flashed on the main screen. It was from New Earth. Put it through, Kira ordered, straightening her uniform. The weathered face of Elder Thomas appeared, his expression grim. Admiral Chen, we've received word from our deep cover operatives. We've been detected. Kira's blood ran cold, but years of training kept her face impassive. How bad? Bad enough. The Galactic Council is in an uproar. It's only a matter of time before they mount a response. Kira's mind raced through contingencies, plans within plans that had been meticulously crafted for this very scenario. We're not ready for a full confrontation, she said. Elder Thomas nodded, agreed, but perhaps we can use this to our advantage. It's time to implement Operation Ghost Light. A slow smile spread across Kira's face. It was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy. But if it worked... Understood, sir. We'll begin preparations immediately. As the communication ended, Kira turned to her crew, noting the mix of determination and fear on their faces. These men and women were the descendants of those who had survived humanity's near extinction, raised on stories of both the horrors inflicted upon their ancestors and the incredible resilience that had allowed them to endure. You all know what this means, Kira said, her voice carrying across the bridge. The nightmare our grandparents lived through is about to become our reality. But we are not the same frightened, fractured species we were back then. We have prepared for this moment for generations. She paused, making eye contact with each member of her bridge crew. The aliens out there think they know what humans are capable of. They're about to learn just how wrong they are. A chorus of "Yes, Admiral," rang out, and Kira felt a surge of pride. Whatever came next, humanity would face it united and unafraid. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, The initial shock had given way to heated debate. Some called for immediate military action, while others urged caution and further investigation. Zixthar listened to the arguments swirling around him, his mind racing. As Supreme Commander, the ultimate decision would fall to him, and he knew, with a certainty that chilled him to his core, that the wrong choice now could lead to devastation on a galactic scale. Order, he finally bellowed, his amplified voice cutting through the din. We cannot allow fear to cloud our judgment. Yes, the humans have returned, and yes, they represent a potential threat. But we are not the same civilization they faced centuries ago. We have grown, we have advanced. He paused, looking around the chamber. I propose we send a diplomatic mission. Let us approach them openly, honestly. Perhaps we can avoid the mistakes of the past. The suggestion was met with a mix of approval and skepticism, but as the debate raged on, none could shake the feeling that the galaxy stood on the precipice of momentous change. In distant corners of space, on hidden worlds and secret bases, humanity prepared. The children of Earth, long thought extinct, were about to announce their return to the galactic stage. And nothing would ever be the same again. First contact. The sleek diplomatic vessel Harmony glided through the inky void of space, its iridescent hull shimmering with the light of distant stars. On board, Ambassador Lyrazal of the Galactic Council fidgeted nervously, her translucent skin flickering with patterns of anxiety. We're approaching the designated coordinates, Ambassador, announced the pilot, a stoic Vrodan with 4 arms deftly manipulating the ship's controls. Lyrazal nodded, trying to project a calm she didn't feel. Any sign of the humans? Nothing yet, but our sensors air. Wait. The pilot's eyes widened. Something's decloaking directly ahead. With a ripple of distorted space, a massive ship materialized before them. Its design was unlike anything in the Galactic Council's database, all sharp angles and gleaming black metal, bristling with what could only be weapon ports. By the cosmic egg, whispered Lyrazal. It's beautiful. A communication request pinged on their console. With a deep breath, Lyrazal straightened her ceremonial robes and nodded to the pilot. Accept the transmission. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a human face. The being looked surprisingly similar to ancient records, yet subtly different, sharper cheekbones, eyes that seemed to glow with an inner light. Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Council, the human said, her voice calm and measured. I am Admiral Kira Chen of the United Earth Federation. We welcome you to neutral space. Lyrazal bowed slightly, her diplomat's training kicking in. Admiral Chen, I am Ambassador Lyrazal. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I extend greetings and a desire for peaceful dialogue. A ghost of a smile played across Chen's lips. Peaceful dialogue. That's a refreshing change from our last encounter with your civilization. The barb stung, but Lyrazal pressed on. The past cannot be changed, Admiral, but perhaps we can forge a new future together. Chen considered this for a moment, then nodded. A noble sentiment. We're transmitting docking procedures now. We look forward to continuing this conversation face to face. As the transmission ended, Lyrazal let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. The first hurdle had been cleared, but she knew the real challenges lay ahead. The docking bay of the UES Defiant was a hive of controlled activity as the Harmony touched down. Marines in sleek powered armor stood at attention, their faces impassive behind polarized visors. As the airlock cycled open, Admiral Chen stepped forward to greet the alien delegation. She'd chosen to forego the more intimidating military uniform in favor of a simple black suit, a subtle olive branch. Ambassador Lyrazal emerged first, followed by her small entourage. Chen noted with interest the diversity of species represented. Clearly, the Galactic Council was taking this meeting seriously. Welcome aboard the Defiant, Chen said, extending a hand in the traditional human greeting. After a moment's hesitation, Lyrazal reached out with a tentacle-like appendage to complete the gesture. Thank you for your hospitality, Admiral, Lorizol replied. We have much to discuss. Chen nodded, gesturing towards a nearby corridor. Indeed we do. If you'll follow me, we've prepared a conference room. As they walked, Lorizol couldn't help but marvel at the ship's interior. The technology on display was leagues beyond what the Galactic Council possessed. Holographic displays flickered with incomprehensible data, and the very walls seemed to pulse with energy. Your ship is impressive, Lorizol ventured, probing for information. Chen's expression remained neutral. We've had a lot of time to innovate. The conference room was a stark, utilitarian space dominated by a large table. As both parties took their seats, the atmosphere grew tense, with unspoken questions and centuries of mistrust. Let's address the Quadian in the room, Chen began, leaning forward. You thought we were extinct. We're not. Now what? Lorizol's skin rippled with a pattern that might have been discomfort. Now, we hope to understand. How did your species survive? Where have you been all this time? Chen's eyes hardened. You really want to know? We survived because we're damned hard to kill. Your ancestors threw everything they had at us. Antimatter bombs, engineered plagues, even tried to collapse our sun. But humans, we're like cockroaches. We adapt, we endure. The alien delegation shifted uneasily at the vehemence in Chen's voice. As for where we've been, Chen continued, we've been rebuilding, learning, preparing, because we knew this day would come. Lorizol leaned forward, her voice earnest. Admiral, please understand. The Galactic Council of today is not the same as the one that waged war on your people. We've evolved, learned from the mistakes of the past. Pretty words, Chen replied, but actions speak louder. You come here talking of peace, but your fleet is mobilizing as we speak. Did you think we wouldn't notice? The ambassador's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in calculation. A precautionary measure. Surely you can understand our concern, given humanity's unexpected return. Chen laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. Oh, we understand. Just like we understood when your people declared us too dangerous to exist all those centuries ago. The tension in the room ratcheted up several notches. One of Lorizol's aides, a reptilian being, hissed something in a language Chen's translator couldn't quite catch. Perhaps, Lorizol said carefully, we could discuss more concrete matters. Trade agreements, technology exchange, defined borders. Chen raised an eyebrow. Cutting right to the chase, aren't we? All right, let's talk specifics. But understand this, humanity isn't interested in being a junior partner in your galactic community. We've earned our place among the stars, and we intend to keep it. As the negotiations began in earnest, neither side fully trusted the other. Centuries of fear and mistrust couldn't be erased in a single meeting, but it was a start. Outside the conference room, both human and alien crews watched each other warily. Rumors and speculation flew back and forth. Would there be peace? Another war? Something in between? In the ship's engineering bay, a young human technician named Alex was explaining the basics of quantum propulsion to a fascinated Vrodan engineer. It's all about probability manipulation, Alex said, gesturing excitedly. We don't move through space so much as we convince space to move around us. The Vrodan's eyes widened in amazement. Incredible. The applications for such technology. The conversation was cut short by a sudden alarm. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship. In the conference room, Chen's comm unit buzzed urgently. Admiral, we've got incoming. Multiple ships just dropped out of FTL, bearing attack formation. Chen's eyes locked with Lorizol's, accusations flying silently between them. The fragile peace they'd been building teetered on the edge of collapse. It's not us, Lorizol protested. We didn't. But Chen was already moving, barking orders into her comm. Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat. As chaos erupted around them, one thing became crystal clear. The true test of humanity's return was just beginning. As they walked, Lorizol couldn't help but marvel at the ship's interior. The technology on display was leagues beyond what the Galactic Council possessed. Holographic displays flickered with incomprehensible data, and the very walls seemed to pulse with energy. "Your ship is impressive," Lorazal ventured, probing for information. Chen's expression remained neutral. "We had a lot of time to innovate." The conference room was a stark, utilitarian space dominated by a large table. As both parties took their seats, the atmosphere grew tense with unspoken questions and centuries of mistrust. "Let's address the Quadian in the room," Chen began, leaning forward. "You thought we were extinct. We're not. Now what?" Lurazol's skin rippled with a pattern that might have been discomfort. "Now, we hope to understand. How did your species survive? Where have you been all this time?" Chen's eyes hardened. "You really want to know? We survived because we're damned hard to kill. Your ancestors threw everything they had at us: antimatter bombs, engineered plagues, even tried to collapse our sun. But humans? We're like cockroaches. We adapt, we endure." The alien delegation shifted uneasily at the vehemence in Chen's voice. "As for where we've been," Chen continued, "we've been rebuilding, learning, preparing, because we knew this day would come." Lorazal leaned forward, her voice earnest. "Admiral, please understand. The Galactic Council of today is not the same as the one that waged war on your people. We've evolved, learned from the mistakes of the past." "Pretty words," Chen replied, "but actions speak louder. You come here talking of peace, but your fleet is mobilizing as we speak. Did you think we wouldn't notice?" The ambassador's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in calculation. "A precautionary measure. Surely you can understand our concern, given humanity's unexpected return." Chen laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. "Oh, we understand. Just like we understood when your people declared us too dangerous to exist all those centuries ago." The tension in the room ratcheted up several notches. One of Lurazol's aides, a reptilian being, hissed something in a language Chen's translator couldn't quite catch. "Perhaps," Lurazol said carefully, "we could discuss more concrete matters. Trade agreements, technology exchange, defined borders." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Cutting right to the chase, aren't we? All right, let's talk specifics. But understand this, humanity isn't interested in being a junior partner in your galactic community. We've earned our place among the stars, and we intend to keep it." As the negotiations began in earnest, neither side fully trusted the other. Centuries of fear and mistrust couldn't be erased in a single meeting, but it was a start. Outside the conference room, both human and alien crews watched each other warily. Rumors and speculation flew back and forth. Would there be peace? Another war? Something in between? In the ship's engineering bay, a young human technician named Alex was explaining the basics of quantum propulsion to a fascinated Vrodan engineer. "It's all about probability manipulation," Alex said, gesturing excitedly. "We don't move through space so much as we convince space to move around us." The Vrodan's eyes widened in amazement. Incredible. The applications for such technology. Their conversation was cut short by a sudden alarm. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship. In the conference room, Chen's comm unit buzzed urgently. "Admiral, we've got incoming. Multiple ships just dropped out of FTL, bearing attack formation." Chen's eyes locked with Lurazol's, accusations flying silently between them. The fragile peace they'd been building teetered on the edge of collapse. "It's not us," Lurazol protested. "We didn't." But Chen was already moving, barking orders into her comm. "Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat." As chaos erupted around them, one thing became crystal clear. The true test of humanity's return was just beginning. Escalating conflict. The bridge of the UAS Defiant erupted into a flurry of activity as klaxons blared. Admiral Chen strode purposefully to her command chair, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Report," she barked. Commander Rodriguez's fingers danced across his console. "5 warships, Admiral. Scytherian design. They're powering up weapons systems. Chen's mind raced. The Scytherians were a notoriously aggressive species, often acting as mercenaries for the highest bidder. But who had sent them? Hail them, Chen ordered, and get our shields up. Weapons hot, but hold fire unless I give the word. As the crew rushed to comply, Ambassador Lirazol and her delegation huddled in a corner of the bridge, their faces masks of confusion and fear. I swear, Admiral, Lirazol pleaded, we knew nothing of this. Chen's expression remained hard. We'll sort out blame later. Right now, I need to know if you can contact your people. We need reinforcements. Before Lirazol could respond, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing the snarling visage of a Scytherian captain. Attention human vessel, the alien growled, mandibles clicking aggressively. You will power down your shields and prepare to be boarded. Resist and you will be destroyed. Chen's eyes narrowed. This is Admiral Kira Chen of the United Earth Federation. You are in violation of multiple interstellar laws. Stand down immediately. The Scytherian captain laughed, a harsh, grating sound. Laws? Your kind forfeited any right to invoke galactic law when you went extinct. Or so we thought. His eyes gleamed with malice. Someone's paying good credits to see you wiped out for real this time. The transmission cut off abruptly. Chen turned to her tactical officer. Options. We're outgunned, Admiral, the officer replied grimly. But our shields are more advanced. We might be able to hold them off long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Chen nodded. Send out a distress call on all frequencies and get me a secure line to New Earth. We need tow. Her words were cut off as the ship rocked violently. The Scytherians had opened fire. Return fire, Chen ordered. Target their weapon systems and get our fighters out there. The space around the Defiant lit up with energy beams and missile trails as the battle began in earnest. Human fighters, sleek and agile, poured out of launch bays to engage the enemy ships. On the bridge, Chen watched the tactical display with growing concern. The Defiant was holding its own, but they were still outnumbered. And if the Scytherians were just the first wave. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, I'm picking up more ships entering the system. It's the Galactic Council fleet. A mixture of hope and dread filled Chen's heart. Would they be saviors or executioners? The answer came moments later as the newly arrived ships opened fire on the Scytherians. This is High Commander Zixthar of the Galactic Council. A new voice rang out over the comms. We stand with the humans against this unprovoked aggression. A cheer went up on the Defiance bridge. With the combined might of human and council ships, the tide of battle quickly turned. Within hours, Scytherian vessels were either destroyed or in full retreat. In the aftermath, as damage reports came in and the adrenaline of battle faded, Chen found herself in an impromptu war council with Zixthar and Lirazol. This attack changes everything, Zixthar said gravely. Someone wants to reignite the conflict between our peoples. Chen nodded, her expression grim. The question is who, and why now? Lirazol's skin flickered with patterns of distress. There are factions within the council who fear the return of humanity. They believe war is inevitable, so why not strike first? Short-sighted fools, Zixthar spat. They would risk galactic peace over ancient grudges. Chen leaned forward, her eyes intense. Then we need to show them that peace is possible. That humanity's return doesn't have to mean conflict. Easier said than done, Zixthar replied, especially now that blood has been spilled. As if to underscore his point, reports began flooding in from across the sector. Skirmishes were breaking out between human and alien vessels. Colonies on both sides reported acts of sabotage and violence. It's spreading, Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with worry. Like a powder keg just waiting for a spark. The Battle of New Earth. The star system designated HC 775 hung silent in the void, its unremarkable yellow sun warming a handful of rocky planets. To most observers, it would have seemed utterly insignificant, but to humanity, it was everything. New Earth, third planet from HC 775, was a vibrant blue-green jewel. It was here that the remnants of humanity had rebuilt, hidden from the gaze of a galaxy that thought them extinct. And now it was here that humanity would make its final stand. Admiral Kira Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her face grim as she surveyed the gathering fleet. Every ship humanity could muster had been called to defend their new home. But would it be enough? "Status report," she barked, turning to Commander Rodriguez. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Rodriguez replied, his voice tight with tension. "The planetary defense grid is online, and civilian evacuation to the underground shelters is complete." Chen nodded, allowing herself a moment of pride. They had prepared for this day for generations, and now all that planning would be put to the test. A priority communication alert flashed on the main screen. "It's from our deep space sensors, Admiral," Rodriguez reported. "They've detected a massive fleet entering the system. It's larger than anything we've ever seen." Chen's jaw clenched. "Put it on screen." The view screen flickered to life, showing a sea of enemy ships stretching as far as the eye could see. At their center was a behemoth of a vessel, easily 10 times the size of the Defiant. "By all that's holy," whispered someone on the bridge. Chen allowed the moment of awe to pass before snapping everyone back to attention. "We knew this was coming," she said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "This is what we've prepared for. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. Today, we fight for our very existence." A chorus of determined "Yes, Admiral," rang out. As the enemy fleet drew closer, Chen opened a channel to all human ships. "This is Admiral Chen. You all know what's at stake here. Our enemies think they know what humans are capable of. It's time to show them how wrong they are. For Earth, for New Earth, for humanity, engage." With that, the human fleet surged forward to meet their foes. The battle that would decide the fate of their species had begun. The initial clash was catastrophic. Energy beams lanced across space, missiles streaked between ships, and fighters darted through the chaos like angry hornets. Despite being outnumbered, the human ships fought with a ferocity born of desperation. On the bridge of the Defiant, Chen coordinated the defense with laser-like focus. "Gamma Squadron, reinforce our left flank. Delta Wing, take out those support ships." But despite their best efforts, the sheer numbers of the enemy fleet began to tell. One by one, human ships winked out of existence, overwhelmed by the relentless assault. "Admiral," Rodriguez called out, his voice strained. "Our lines are breaking. We can't hold them back much longer." Chen's mind raced. They had one last card to play, a weapon so terrible they had hoped never to use it. But now, faced with extinction, there was no choice. "Initiate Project Phoenix," she ordered, her voice heavy with the weight of the decision. Rodriguez paled but nodded, entering a complex series of commands into his console. Deep beneath the surface of New Earth, in a heavily shielded facility, a massive device hummed to life. It was the culmination of decades of research, a weapon that bent the very fabric of reality to its will. As the device powered up, strange energies began to ripple through space. Enemy ships closest to New Earth suddenly found their systems failing, their hulls twisting in impossible ways. The massive enemy flagship, sensing the danger, moved to unleash its full firepower on the planet, but it was too late. With a silent flash that seemed to momentarily dim the stars themselves, Project Phoenix activated. A wave of distorted space-time exploded outward from New Earth, engulfing the enemy fleet. Ships caught in the wave simply ceased to exist, erased from reality itself. Those on the fringes found themselves flung into random points in space-time, lost and scattered. In the span of heartbeats, the tide of battle had turned completely. As the remnants of the enemy fleet retreated in disarray, A stunned silence fell over the bridge of the Defiant. They had won, but at what cost? Damage report, Chen ordered, her voice hoarse. We've lost nearly 40% of our fleet, Rodriguez replied sullenly. But New Earth is safe. The enemy has been routed. Chen closed her eyes, feeling the weight of every life lost, every ship destroyed. But they had survived. Humanity would live on. As the adrenaline of battle faded, new concerns arose. The use of Project Phoenix would not go unnoticed. They had revealed capabilities beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. What would the consequences be? Even as repair crews began their work and the fleet regrouped, urgent communications came in from across known space. The Galactic Council was in an uproar. Some called for immediate action against the humans, while others sued for peace, fearful of facing such power. In the midst of the chaos, a message arrived from an unexpected source. It was from Zixthar, the Supreme Commander of the Galactic Council forces. Admiral Chen, his holographic form said, looking both awed and troubled. What you have done here, it changes everything. We need to talk. The future of the galaxy hangs in the balance. As Chen prepared to face this new challenge, she knew that the Battle of New Earth was just the beginning. Humanity had announced its return to the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible. Now came the hard part, building a lasting peace in a universe forever changed by their actions. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what would come next in this new era of human ascendancy. A new understanding. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 1,000 worlds filled the tiered seats. Their diverse forms a testament to the variety of life in the galaxy. At the center of it all stood two figures: Admiral Kira Chen of the United Earth Federation and Supreme Commander Zixthar of the Galactic Council. The aftermath of the Battle of New Earth had sent shockwaves throughout known space. The revelation of humanity's survival, coupled with their display of unprecedented power, had upended the galactic status quo. Now the future of interstellar relations hung in the balance. Zixthar raised his appendages for silence, and a hush fell over the assembly. Esteemed colleagues, he began, his voice echoing through the chamber. We stand at a crossroads. The return of humanity and the events that followed have forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about our past and our present. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, but Zixthar pressed on. For too long, we have allowed fear and misunderstanding to guide our actions. The near extinction of humanity centuries ago was a stain on our collective conscience. Now we have a chance to make amends. He gestured to Chen, who stepped forward. The human admiral's presence caused a stir among the delegates, many of whom had never seen a living human before. Members of the Galactic Council, Chen began, her voice steady and clear. I come before you not as a conqueror, nor as a supplicant, but as an equal. Humanity has endured much, but we have not lost our capacity for compassion, for understanding, or for hope. She paused, letting her words sink in. The weapon we unleashed at New Earth was born of desperation, a last resort to ensure our survival. But it is not a path we wish to tread again. We stand ready to share our knowledge, to work together towards a future that benefits all species. The assembly hall erupted into a cacophony of voices. Some delegates called for immediate alliance with the humans, eager to gain access to their advanced technology. Others demanded sanctions, fearful of what humanity might do with their power unchecked. As the debate raged, a small delegation approached Chen and Zixthar. It was led by Ambassador Lirazol, her translucent skin shimmering with patterns of determination. Admiral Chen, Commander Zixthar, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. I believe I have a proposal that might satisfy all parties. Over the next several hours, as the council debated, Chen, Zixthar, and Lirazol worked tirelessly to craft a framework for a new galactic order. It was a delicate balance of concessions and guarantees, designed to integrate humanity into the galactic community while addressing the fears and concerns of other species. As the sun of the council world set, casting the assembly hall in a warm golden glow, Zixthar once again called for order. "Esteemed colleagues," he announced, his voice carrying a note of triumph, "we have reached an accord." The details of the agreement were laid out for all to hear. Humanity would be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. In exchange, they will agree to limitations on the use of their most powerful technologies and submit to regular inspections. A new joint task force would be established to tackle threats to galactic peace, combining the strengths of human ingenuity with the diverse abilities of other species. Scientific and cultural exchange programs would be implemented to foster understanding and cooperation. As the terms were read out, a sense of cautious optimism began to spread through the assembly. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The vote, when it came, was overwhelmingly in favor of the new accord. As delegates from across the galaxy signed the historic document, Chen found herself standing next to Zixthar and Lurazol. "It won't be easy," Zixthar said, his eyes fixed on the gathering. "There will be those who resist, who cling to old hatreds and fears." Chen nodded, "But it's a start. A chance to build something better than what came before." Lurazol's skin flickered with patterns of hope. Perhaps this is the true test of sentience, the ability to overcome our differences and work together for a greater good. As the ceremony concluded, Chen made her way back to the Defiant. The ship, still bearing scars from the Battle of New Earth, would soon embark on a new mission, not one of war, but of exploration and diplomacy. Standing on the bridge, Chen gazed out at the stars. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and full of possibilities. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had confronted their former enemies and forged a new path forward. "Where to, Admiral?" Commander Rodriguez asked, a hint of excitement in his voice. Chen smiled, feeling the weight of history and the promise of the future. "Everywhere, Commander. We have a whole galaxy to rediscover." As the Defiant prepared to depart, carrying human ambassadors to worlds long thought lost to them, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had once been the galaxy's nightmare, a cautionary tale of the dangers of unchecked expansion. Now they had the chance to be something more: partners, allies, friends. The nightmare was over. The dream of a united galaxy, with humanity playing a vital role, was just beginning. As the Defiant jumped to FTL, leaving the Council world behind, Chen knew that the greatest adventures and challenges still lay ahead. But for the first time in centuries, humanity's future among the stars was bright. The living nightmare had become a beacon of hope. The humans had returned, not as conquerors, but as architects of a new galactic age. And the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter at the prospect.